You stood up from your chair this morning, and for a brief, terrifying second, you had no idea where your feet were. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech. A hard medical reality that millions of people wake up to every single day. Burning, tingling, numbness. The strange sensation of walking on bubble wrap, or thick foam, or like your feet belong to someone else entirely. And what nobody is telling you clearly enough is just how dangerous this actually is. 1 in 3 people living with diabetes develops neuropathy in the lower limbs. Half of them won't find out until they start falling, and falls in people over 65 are the #1 cause of traumatic death. 1 in 5 people who fall at that age breaks a hip, and 1 in 4 of those people will not be alive a year later. Let that sink in for a moment. This is not a minor inconvenience you simply learn to manage. This is a life-threatening, progressive condition, and here's the part that changes everything. It is treatable. What you're about to hear is not what they'll tell you at your next appointment. The healthcare system is built around patients who keep coming back, not patients who get better. That's not a conspiracy, that's economics. But the science tells a very different story, and that is exactly what we're going to cover today. Stay with me, because what comes next could genuinely change how you move, how you feel, and how safely you live every single day. Let's start from the beginning. Your body contains billions of ultra-thin signal wires. They run from your brain, down through your spinal cord, branch out through your entire body, and reach all the way to the tips of your toes. Every fraction of a second, your brain is asking your foot, where are you? What surface is underneath? How much pressure under the heel? And your foot answers, all good, firm, flat, moving forward. That two-way conversation is called proprioception, your body's ability to sense its own position in space. You don't notice it when it works, just like you don't notice your breathing. But the moment it breaks down, everything changes. Think of each nerve like an electrical cable. The wire itself carries the signal, but what makes it work reliably is the plastic coating around it called the myelin sheath. Without that coating, the signal leaks out, loses strength, and bleeds into neighboring signals. The result is chaos. Your brain gets distorted, scrambled information, or it gets nothing at all. That's where the burning and tingling come from. The nerve is misfiring like a short-circuiting wire, and numbness? That's the next stage. When the nerve is so damaged, it simply stops transmitting altogether. The brain sends a request and gets silence. It starts guessing where your foot is. Research suggests there are 3 main causes behind this breakdown, and all 3 are more common than most people realize. The first is diabetes. Elevated blood sugar acts like acid on the tiny vessels feeding your nerves, cutting off oxygen and glucose until degeneration begins. Studies indicate this develops in 30 to 50% of people with type 2 diabetes, often silently in the early stages. The second is chemotherapy, drugs that cannot distinguish between a cancer cell and a nerve fiber, causing neurotoxicity in 30 to 60% of patients on certain treatment regimens. The third is circulatory insufficiency, reduced blood flow from aging, atherosclerosis, or a sedentary lifestyle that slowly starves the nerves over years, until one day a person gets out of bed and something feels deeply wrong. Here is where the story changes completely. If you've been told to simply learn to live with it, that is not medicine. That is a physician who either doesn't know what to do next or doesn't have the time to go further, because the evidence base says something very different. Studies published in leading medical journals show that aerobic physical activity increases nerve conduction velocity in patients with diabetic neuropathy. That is a measurable, objective finding confirmed on specialized nerve testing equipment. Other research has demonstrated that regular exercise increases the actual density of nerve fibers in the skin of the foot. The nerves are literally growing back. This is not wishful thinking. This is neuroplasticity in action. Neuroplasticity is the key concept here. Your brain and nervous system are not fixed, static structures. They continuously reorganize themselves. When one pathway is blocked, the system searches for a detour. It builds new connections, strengthens existing ones, reroutes functions through healthy regions. It's the same reason people relearn how to walk and speak after a stroke, and the same process can occur with neuropathy. The right movements push your brain to find new pathways to the feet, strengthen blood flow to damaged nerves, and activate intact nerve fibers to take over the work of the ones that have been lost. Think about what that means for you personally. If you've been living with that burning, that tingling, that terrifying disconnect between your mind and your feet, the research suggests it doesn't have to stay that way. It is slow. It requires patience. It requires consistency. But the science backs it up, and that is something worth holding on to. 8 weeks of the right kind of movement, consistent, measured, specific, has shown statistically verified improvements in nerve conduction in clinical studies. Not just feeling a bit better, actual numbers on objective tests. 4 exercises. Each one has a seated and a standing variation. Read through each description fully before performing it. If you have any doubts about your current health, consult your doctor before you begin. Exercise 1. Marching in place. This is the aerobic foundation of the entire routine. A nerve is living tissue. Living tissue needs oxygen. Oxygen is delivered by blood. While blood flow to the legs is poor, nerves continue to starve, and no other exercise will produce its full effect. Even light rhythmic activity, marching in place for 30 to 60 seconds, increases your heart rate and dilates blood vessels in the lower limbs. This simultaneously feeds the nerves and clears away pro-inflammatory waste that accumulates around damaged nerves and amplifies pain. If seated, sit upright with your back off the chair back, lift alternate knees, and let your arms swing naturally. Standing, hold a chair or countertop and lift your knees high. Start with 30 seconds, build to 1 or 2 minutes over several weeks. Exercise 2, heel to toe rock. Both feet on the floor, hip width apart. Slowly raise both heels as high as you can. Balls of the feet stay down. Hold 1 to 2 seconds, feel the calf contraction, lower slowly, then the opposite. Roll back, raise the front of the foot and toes off the floor, heels stay down. Feel the burn along the front of the shin. That is the tibialis anterior, the muscle that lifts your foot with every step. When it weakens, toes drop during walking and catch on any unevenness. That is exactly why people with neuropathy trip over thresholds and carpet edges. Do 10 to 20 reps, slow and deliberate. You are not just training a muscle, you are sending a rich stream of sensory signals to the brain. Exercise 3, diagonal sweep. Sit on the edge of your chair. Press both feet actively into the floor, not just resting, but pressing down. This alone activates specialized nerve endings that send signals up to the brain. Clasp your hands, lower them toward your left hip, then sweep diagonally upward through the center of your body to the right shoulder and higher. Return and repeat. 10 to 20 reps, then switch sides. While you sweep, your core stabilizes the shifting weight, and your feet keep sending signals the entire time. Exercise 4, modified single leg stance. Stand in a corner of the room facing out, walls behind and to the side, a chair in front. Shift all your weight onto your right foot. Place your left toes lightly behind you, just a feather touch of contact. Keep a slight soft bend in your supporting knee, never locked straight. When the knee is slightly bent, your thigh, calf, and ankle are all actively working. You will notice your ankle making constant, tiny micro adjustments to keep you upright. That subtle trembling is not weakness. That is hundreds of nerve signals per second firing between your foot and your brain. That is exactly what we need to stimulate. Hold 30 to 60 seconds, then switch. For frequency, 2 to 3 sessions per week is the optimal schedule supported by rehabilitation research. After neuroplastic loading, the nervous system needs recovery time to consolidate new connections. Too much too fast leads to burnout. Start with the easiest variation of each exercise, use support, and do not rush progression. 2 more things that almost nobody talks about, and both matter more than most people realize. The first is footwear. With neuropathy, your shoe choice is not an aesthetic decision, it is a safety decision. A rigid sole, a narrow toe box, a raised heel, all of these rob the foot of sensory information about the surface beneath it and restrict movement at the ankle joint. Your brain is already receiving fewer signals from damaged nerves. Why add further sensory deprivation through a thick, insulating sole? Choose flexible soles, a wide toe box, and no significant heel elevation. At home, avoid walking in socks on smooth floors, use non-slip grippy soles or secure slippers. That single change reduces your fall risk immediately. The second factor is nutritional. Evidence suggests that vitamin B12 deficiency accelerates neuropathy by degrading the myelin sheath, the nerve insulation we discussed at the start. B12 absorption declines with age, making deficiency especially common in people over 60. Here's the part that shocks most people. Metformin, the most widely prescribed medication for type 2 diabetes, blocks intestinal absorption of B12. So the drug being used to treat the diabetes may be worsening the neuropathy the diabetes caused. Ask your doctor to check your B12 levels. It's a simple blood test. If your level is below 300 picograms per liter, correction is likely needed. Also worth discussing with your physician is alpha-lipoic acid, an antioxidant with meaningful clinical evidence in diabetic neuropathy. But dosage, formulation, and duration all matter, so don't self-prescribe. Here is your action plan. Start right now, not tomorrow. Stand up and march in place for 30 seconds. Then do 10 heel-to-toe rocks. Sit down and do 10 diagonal sweeps to each side. Stand in your corner and hold the single leg stance for 30 seconds on each side. That is 8 to 10 minutes total. 2 to 3 times per week for 8 weeks and you will see a difference. Not because of a promise, because this is what the data shows. The nervous system responds to the right stimulus when you deliver it consistently. Drop your age in the comments below and tell us which symptom brought you here today. Your experience helps us create content for the people who need it most. And if this video helped you, share it with someone who is struggling. No one in a white coat at a clinic is going to walk them through this, but you just might. YouTube script, health and wellness niche, vertical bar, senior audience, vertical bar, English,